Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I want to start this week off with a disclaimer. I'm not a counselor, and I'm not trying to be one tonight. This week is just about a teaching I listened to, a message I heard, and just kind of my heart's response to it. Kayla Roberts is a good friend of mine from Florida. Her and her husband, Andre, have a church down there called Encounters Church. And Kayla had a message that I listened to called Our Attachment Styles and God. And by trade, Kayla is a counselor, a therapist, and she's also a pastor. And I have so much love and respect for her in the way she combines Jesus with therapy. I listened to a lot of her messages, and the one, Our Attachment Styles and God, is the one I want to talk about tonight. First, high level, I want to go over the 4 kinds of attachment styles. The first one is secure, and it's you had healthy relationships with your primary caregiver growing up or when you're younger. You show appropriate distress when left alone, able to see support in relationships, and can regulate emotions and manage conflict in close relationships. Anxious is the next one, and it was limited parental availability when you were young, distress when you're left, craves close relationships but struggles to trust, need for reassurance from partners, and feelings of anxiety and jealousy are common. The next kind is avoidant. And in this case, it would have been abuse or neglect from a caregiver. There's no preference for parental presence, whether they are there or not. They're independent. There's a pattern of withdrawal, tendency to minimize the feelings of others, preference for casual relationships. And the last one is disorganized. Growing up, there was inconsistent parenting. Intimate relationships feel confusing, feelings of unworthiness, and tendency towards aggressive or antisocial behaviors. And in that teaching, Kayla spoke about our attachment styles and how they're directly related to our relationship with God. It's not only how we view God, but also how deep we allow ourselves to go. And if you've ever looked at somebody or you've heard a testimony and you've looked at that and you're like, I've never been able to go there. I can't go that deep. I don't feel connection that way. I want to reassure you tonight that you're not too broken for it, that you're not too far gone, you haven't done the thing that's too bad to come back from. Again, I'm not a counselor. This is just what my heart heard listening to this message, that maybe it has nothing to do with what you're doing wrong or that you're broken or you're too far gone. Maybe it's that your current attachment style is not allowing you to go there. I want all of us to move beyond the what's wrong with me. Instead, I want us to move to Jesus. I know I was designed for this, so can you reveal what's getting in the way here? Instead of our first reaction always being, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Rather, can our first response and our first reaction to ourselves is understanding, to try and figure out why we're operating the way we are, why we can't connect, or why we are connecting in the wrong places. I was listening to a worship set earlier this week, and they were singing the song Communion. And in that song, the line says, I don't have to prove a thing. You've already approved of me. While listening to that, I heard the Father say, I have never compared you to anybody else. He has never once looked at me and said, geez, it'd just be a lot cooler if Don could be a little bit more like Kelsey. Likewise, the Father's never looked at Kelsey going, gosh, you know what would make me a little happier? as if Kelsey was just like Don. There's no comparison amongst his kids. When he looks at you, he looks at you. When he sees you, he sees you. I encourage you to take some time and evaluate yourself. Things like this aren't meant to be shared so that we can grab hold of that and be like, I knew it. See, that's why I am the way I am. And then we use it as an excuse to not try and grow, not try and change, and not try and become who we were designed to be. Hopefully, types of things like this, when you hear them, are meant to allow you to go deeper, to think in a different way, so that we can grow, so that we can have deeper relationships with the people in our lives, so that we can have that closer relationship with Jesus. It's all an invitation to be honest with ourselves. Allow Jesus the opportunity to course correct. Kayla had said in that message that it's not unheard of for people to have multiple attachment styles. I can find myself in a couple of those. I think sometimes it's not always related directly to parenting. I think if you had other relationships young, that you kind of gain a different attachment style sometimes. And so it's not a one size fits all by any means. But in that, there were some questions about what do you do if somebody in your life has this? Or what if it's my kids and I am not who I was when they were growing up? What do I do now? And the answer is you just show up differently now. That it's not too far gone, and anything I say in this message, or literally any week, if it ever sparks anything of shame or embarrassment or guilt, please don't stay there. Send me a message. I will gladly talk you off that ledge. That's not meant to do that. It's hopefully just wants to spark some thinking and give Jesus the opportunity to start that course correct if it's needed. Saying yes to allowing God to reveal himself to you the way he actually is, not how we perceive it to be based on our past relationships, our past lives. Kayla also said, don't let previous experiences and attachments get in the way of what God wants to do in your life now. Don't let the environment God has brought you into pay the price for the environment you've been in. Don't let your current friends pay for your old friends. Your current spouse pay for your past relationships. Don't let your new church pay for your old church. Your new pastor to pay for your old pastor. Your new pastor to pay for your parents. Set aside what you think you know. Give Jesus an opportunity to meet you right where you're at. Allow that encounter to dictate your human connection, your human relationships. Allow that encounter to dictate your relationship with him, your relationship with your Father. Let Jesus reveal to you the type of care, security, support, and love you deserve, and what type of those things you give to others. I'll see you next week.